back to the Chatting Average. My name is Adam. That's H. No John Lieber today, which means this episode is going to go by much more normally and quicker than normal. Would you agree, H?
Yeah, it's a shame. John got eaten by this really big slime monster. Now the problem is they do take about a week to digest, so we will have John back next week, ideally.
True.
But we just can't find the slime monster right now. So
they're pretty evasive, dude. If you've never seen a slime monster before, then you understand how evasive they are.
So we'll see if we can find one that's suspiciously John Lieber shaped, but for now we're just kind of SOL.
True. You just get us for this week, which is quite all right, because, John, we have a lot to talk about. Do we want to get into some of the baseball news of the week?
Yeah, there's quite a bit happening. We'll talk about some records first, but to talk about the records, we do first need to talk about the standings. I saw you just hover your cursor over them, so if you want to hit the standings before I end up talking about some of this stuff that's relevant, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about the standings for a little bit here. I mean, obviously, normally we go into standings after we do our divisional previews, but just a quick survey of the field as we get closer now to postseason play. We're, a month and change away from postseason play, so it's important to establish where we're at. And where we're at right now is that the Toronto Blue Jays are leading the American League West by 5 games. The Detroit Tigers are leading the American League Central by 10.5 games. And the Houston Astros are leading the American League West by 2 games. The Seattle Mariners hot on their tail. That's the closest division race that we have going on around baseball, because in the National League, Phillies are up 7 games on the New York Mets in the NL East. The Brewers are up 5 games on the Chicago Cubs in the NL Central. That's something that we'll talk about a lot, I'm sure. Dodgers and the Padres in the NL West currently tied for the divisional lead. That's not something I think that anybody really saw going into the year. I think going into the year, maybe people would have said that the Dodgers had the easiest path to winning their division. But clearly that does not materialize. I think for various reasons, one of the major reasons, the Dodgers just have chosen not to treat the regular season like the regular season. This is a team built for the postseason. They're going to start caring right around the first week of September. Start trying to actually win games right around the first week of September. The fact that they have played this nonchalantly and still managed to be in first place, I think, is very impressive. But the Padres just kind of hanging around causes problems for them. Would you agree?
Yeah, and it's a team down there in San Diego that is a buyer. They're very willing to, as A.J. Preller always is, to go out and get the pieces that they need. You bring in Ramon Laureano, Ryan O'Hearn, Mason Miller as well, and all of a sudden you've added some thump to your lineup and a lights-out closer that doesn't even have to close with Robert Suarez around. So you have this bevy of talent. Manny Machado's still hitting fantastically. You can name any player pretty much at any position, and you feel like they've generally upgraded from where they were last year. Freddie Fermin now at catcher over the Elias Diaz, Martín Maldonado retirement home backstop. Not
too much on Elias Diaz. Let's be nice here.
Sorry, Rockies legend Elias Diaz. But really, wholesale, they have made changes around the board that has kept them up to pace with a Dodgers team that is constantly snake-bitten. Never not injured. They're starting infielders that we've never even come up with. I think the Padres are really in pole position here to make a good push. If they have a good September, if they have a good, next, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, that could have really stolen some momentum in the NL Championship.
Yeah, I think the Padres put together, to your point, a really good offseason, deadline. I think they put together a really good deadline. I would argue they had maybe the best deadline of any team in the National League, and the Dodgers were very, very passive. And the reason that they were very passive, I think, is because they had a lot of pieces that were ready to go after being injured for the majority of the year. Now that they've activated those pieces, now that the rotation looks a little bit more shored up maybe than it did a month ago, maybe the Dodgers are still the better team here. but I think that I would say that the Padres have put together more positive momentum since the deadline over the last month. And if they end up winning the division as a result of that, I will not be particularly shocked. Now,
No.
if you ask me right now which team I thought was going further in the postseason, certainly wouldn't be the Padres. But I could see them winning this division. I could for sure see them winning this division.
You look across to the rest of the NL. Pirates are on a 4-game winning streak, which doesn't really change much in the NL Central. Cubs are 8-2 over their last 10, and the Brewers still have a decent-sized lead. Brewers not having the best recent appearance. You'll hear from their last game getting walked, getting essentially walloped a bit at the end of that game against the San Francisco Giants, but still keeping pace, and it's a 2-horse race right now in the Central with the Cubs and the Brewers.
And the Brewers, it's important to mention because we didn't have a show last week for various reasons, but it's important to mention that they just rode out, a 2-week-long winning streak. Right? What did it end up being? I think 14 games is what it ended up being.
Something like that.
And so the Brewers are playing good ball as of late, right? Now they're not on that winning streak anymore, as you just mentioned. Maybe a poor last series from them, but this
4-6 over their last 10.
Team playing good ball recently. The Cubs are not playing bad baseball by any stretch. I think they're comfortably in a wild card spot right now. I think both of these teams will make the postseason. It's just a matter of will a third NL Central team be able to find their way into the postseason picture, I think is kind of the most compelling argument right now. The Cincinnati Reds right now, 1.5 games out of a wild card spot. That's your team to watch.
Looking at that NL wild card picture a little bit with the Brewers and Phillies having a commanding lead in their division. Dodgers and Padres tied, as we mentioned. Cubs are 6.5 games up in the wild card. Padres and Dodgers both 4.5, but whichever one won't make it will likely make that second wild card spot. And then you look at the Mets being even on wild card. Cincinnati Reds 1.5 games back, and the field is about 4 games behind each of them. So starting to shake the who is versus the who isn't out of that. Phillies and Braves.
The haves and the have-nots, dude.
The haves and the have-nots. Phillies and Braves 7-3 over their last 10. Phillies makes actual sense. The Braves are not making the postseason, but it's starting to show what's possible for 2026 for both of these teams. You see contributors in both of these NL East clubhouses. Braves trying to shake out who their rotation's going to be. Hurston Waldrop has been a revelation. He changed his pitching stance and his windup, and has shown a lot of promise both in AAA and in the majors. With Chris Sale also angling to come back from a rehab stint soon, the Braves might end up still playing good ball down to the stretch. I do not see them catching the Mets. They would need to catch the Mets. They're not going to catch the Phillies. But interesting ride for momentum for them. For the Phillies, though, you have to hope that you keep this streak up, because if the Mets wake back up and Cedric Mullins proves to be this spark plug that they added at the deadline, you really have to get that distance between you.
Maybe it's just being burned by past year's Mets teams that really paints my opinion of this year's Mets team, but there's nothing about that squad that inspires me, and there's nothing about that squad that makes me think they're going to make a late surge. I think that's probably the Phillies division to win at this point. Do we want to quickly look at the American League wildcard picture, or do we want to move on to our next topic?
Let's mention the AL wildcard picture, and then let's go to the next topic.
All right. As we mentioned, the divisional leaders in the American League, the Tigers, the Blue Jays, and the Astros. Behind them in the wild card picture, the Boston Red Sox, currently the top team at 71-60. Half a game behind them is the New York Yankees at 70-60, and at 70-61, the Seattle Mariners. All three teams in the wild card picture within a game of each other first team out looking in. The Kansas City Royals, they're only 3 back. They're 7-3 over their last 10. Is this a Royals team that we're buying into? Could we see them in the postseason?
I think so. I think they're starting to become the Royals team that we thought they would be preseason. And they have the talent, which is surprising considering they had a bit of a back and forth deadline. You deal Freddie
They
for
kinda
me, but
did.
you pick up Randall Grichuk, you pick up Mike Yastrzemski, and your additions are playing pretty well, all things considered. Now, it's a little confusing to me that they're still keeping pace, but I think with a shaky Central, there's not going to be a lot of hard games for them over the next, their next division games. The White Sox are fun, but they're scrappy fun. They're not competitive fun. And the Twins are the St. Paul Saints. So
That's also true.
do I really think that the Royals going into a 3-game set in Chicago against the Sox are going to have a very difficult time? No. I think they're going to start to keep pace.
We have spilled a lot of ink and said a lot of words over the course of this season about kind of the missed opportunities that you saw out of teams like the Orioles and teams like the Braves, not to really rub your nose in it, John, but these are teams that going into the year we thought were in the upper echelon of talent and just never really together. The Kansas City Royals were very much in that category for the first 3 or so months of the and it's good to see them finally breaking out of the rust. I don't know if it's going to be too little too late, but I think they're more than capable of grabbing a wild card spot at this point in the season. And with a team with a rotation and bullpen as strong as the Royals have, and a team that has as many fun guys in the lineup as the Royals do, I want to see them back in the postseason. That's a cool team to root for. I'm pulling for them, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
We do have to mention before we move entirely out of the standings here, and John, this is the point where you can edit in some funeral bells. But the Colorado Rockies have become the first Major League Baseball team to be eliminated from postseason contention this season. They are 32 and a half games out of the wild card, less than 32 and a half games remaining in the season. Happy trails to the Colorado Rockies. You have not been fun to watch, and we will not talk about you for the rest of this episode.
I did also only just find out this weekend that they had a jersey patch sponsor, which they have had since right after the All-Star break.
Yeah, they were like the 3rd or 4th from last team in Major League Baseball to have one, but they do in fact have one. That is a real thing.
Have I been paying attention to Rockies games? A little. Not enough.
When's the last time you watched a full 9-inning Rockies game front to back?
9-inning Rockies game?
When's the last time you watched more than 3 innings of a Rockies game?
Yesterday, the Sunday leadoff with
Well, fair enough.
Because I had McCade Brown as
you
a streamer.
did. I saw that you added him, and you ended up winning last week. Huh?
I don't think I won, actually. I think we have a legal disclaimer to add now that Wyatt Nunn. Oh, I did. I won by 5 points. Oh.
Now take a look at his lineup yesterday and see if there was anybody that was worth -5 points.
Trevor McGill. I was watching that game. So, for those of you who are not aware, Wyatt Nunn, friend of the program, is in our fantasy baseball league, or I am in a fantasy baseball league with Wyatt Nunn. So is Adam. So is the dearly departed John Lieber.
May he rest in peace.
He beat John and Adam to almost get through the chatting average gauntlet.
Twice
and I was the last
I think he's
one.
beat me twice now.
I won 369 to 364 yesterday. I went to sleep thinking I lost. I had not looked at it. I fully expected to start this episode with a welcome back to the Wyatt Nunn chatting average. But
you know what, man? Because Wyatt Nunn did not win last week, I think you have more than likely cemented me in the postseason. And for that, I have to say thank you.
You're welcome. We'll talk about someone who's not going to the postseason, though. Paul Skeens. He's pitching like a postseason star, but he is certainly not going to get there anytime soon. The second lowest ERA through 50 starts in the live ball era. That goes back to 1920, so it's a whole century since we've seen a pitcher with this low of an ERA like Paul Skeens over 50 starts. Over the season, 2.07 ERA. His last outing, which we'll probably mention in a bit, 7 innings strong against the Colorado Rockies, 3 hits, no walks, 7 strikeouts across 101 pitches. And really, he is just as much of the pitcher we thought he'd be.
Paul Skeens over 2 years as a Major League Baseball pitcher. He's thrown 50 games in his Major League career. His ERA over the last 2 seasons is a 2.02, right? Over 50 games, his ERA is 2.02. He's rapidly approaching 300 innings, so it's not like he's just working out of the bullpen. Like, this is a long starter whose ERA plus over the last 2 years is 2.06, more than twice as good as the league average pitcher. He's 23 years old. Paul Skeens will be the best pitcher in baseball for a decade, probably close to that. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's completely fair to say. He was one of the best pitchers in baseball last year, and he didn't even pitch the full season.
Correct.
The only thing that's stopping
May.
Right. The only thing that's stopping Paul Skeens in the future, and I hope this isn't the case, is injury. And so far, he just went 7 innings and 101 pitches. And he has pitches that he's not just sitting here blowing by you with velocity. Is it fantastic velocity? Yes. But the way he throws, the way he thinks about the game, the sinker and then the splinker and then the four-seamer and then his breaking ball, you're seeing a consistent rise in pitchers with wide arsenals. And a wide arsenal plus good velocity equals a 2.07 ERA. So,
Mr. H, you are a resident pitching expert. I would like to steer you into a different pitcher. Somebody who I think hasn't been given enough flowers this year, but has been an upper echelon pitcher. And if their team was in anywhere close to postseason territory, I think somebody that would be getting at least close to the conversation for the American League Cy Young Award. And that's Mr. Trevor Rogers.
Trevor Rogers has been a revelation for this Orioles team that was, I think, fully prepared to have eaten sunk cost on their trade with the Miami Marlins.
I would agree.
Trevor Rogers has a 1.40 ERA and 83 and a third innings pitched. Over his last 7 games,
his ERA plus this year is 2.87.
He's gone 7 innings each of his last 3 starts. He's allowed 3 earned runs, 1 each.
He started 13 games on the season, and he's allowed 13 runs. That's crazy. That's crazy.
This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because
I can tell that you're just you're scrolling through his baseball reference right now for the first time in a while, and the numbers catch you off guard, dude. Nobody is talking about Trevor Rogers, but he is having a crazy good year.
If the Orioles weren't bad this year, he would be in the AL Cy Young conversation constantly. And he should be.
The caveat there, right? The caveat there is he's only thrown 80 innings, and he'll add 4, maybe 5 more starts this month.
Right, so he's going to get to over 100.
Oh, easily. But I don't know if he's going to get enough innings to really be in that conversation. But on a rate basis, Trevor Rogers has been maybe the best pitcher in baseball this year.
Right. And what it does for you is it gives you the confidence, if you're Mike, that you've actually added your top-line pitcher for next year.
Oh, yeah.
You can't rely on Dean Kramer to get hot. Or, hope to God that Grayson Rodriguez is what you thought he was.
How many years does Sagano have left?
Like Tomoyuki Sugano is on the back half of the aging curve. Not to mention, what happens with Brandon Young. Like, you've had to start Brandon Young. You had Charlie Morton earlier. You can make another Charlie Morton-esque move. It's not like the Orioles pitching has been bad necessarily. They've been a pretty good rotation over recent starts. But no, I just don't. That's not a long-term solution. This is a Band-Aid, and Trevor Rogers is the first sign that the scar is starting to heal.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their depth chart right now on Fangraphs, they only have 4 starting pitchers listed. Right? It's Rogers, it's Sagano, it's Cade Povich, it's Dean Kremer.
Right.
And yes, there's some pitchers that are on the injured list. Hello, Tyler Wells. Hello, Zach Eflin, Grayson Rodriguez, who hasn't this season, but in theory is supposed to be one of your top line guys. But like, the Orioles are going to have to do a lot to address this position in the offseason. We said that last year, and they didn't do anything. So maybe they're going to sit on their hands again. But if this is an Oriole team that is going to try and take advantage of this window, that's a huge must address this offseason.
Right. Talking about the Orioles, 8-year extension with their catcher, top prospect, Samuel Basallo. There's a lot to say about this. And what I will start with is that this immediately shows me 2 things. One is that they are sincerely invested in the fact that Basallo can develop behind the plate, considering the riders in that contract for catcher innings.
Mm-hmm.
And Adley Rutschman is immediately less of a sure thing for that 26 lineup than you thought.
Yeah, I was a little caught off guard by this as well. And if you're not familiar with Basallo, I think the best way to describe him would be, say, imagine Rafael Devers actually knew how to play a competent defensive catcher. He's a good ball player. And I think having him as your backstop, for the foreseeable future, because he's your everyday starter at catcher right now and will be the remainder of the season. I think having him as your everyday back bad thing. I think the Adley Rutschman experience very quickly fizzling out is a bad thing because he's yet to recapture the magic of his rookie season, right? And he hasn't necessarily developed into kind of the veteran clubhouse guy that they wanted him to. I mean, this is year 4, year 5 in the major league for him. He's the longest tenure point. And This is a team that largely has no leader in the clubhouse, that largely has, voice that unifies. And I think Adley Rutschman not developing into that person maybe has left a worse taste in the Orioles' mouth than his offensive and defensive play, which again has not lived the season, but also hasn't been bad. Like, Adley is a useful ball player, and somebody will want him on their team. I just think it's very interesting that the Orioles might not be that team.
It's crazy to think that, going up to when he got called up, I mean, he was the future for this team. He was that anchor, not unlike a Molina in St. Louis, a Perez in Kansas City. Those kind of, this is the guy you can build around. He handles the pitching staff. He handles the offense. He handles the defense. And it's just like he's a good player. He's just not world beating. And
correct.
At this point in his career, at this point in Basallo's career, where Basallo can play catcher, he can play first base, he can DH. The bat's going to carry him wherever he goes. But they signed a contract that has incentives for him to play catcher.
And that's the important part, in my opinion.
Even so. Through 7 games, 261 average, 320 on base, 348 slug. That's going to increase. I guarantee it. It's a young guy adjusting to the major leagues. But I'd say we move on.
He is young. That's important to note as well. Shall we move now into the series? I know you got a hard time limit, so we got to kind of fly through this today.
Well, I suppose we should start with, well, the Rockies got swept,
Boo.
and the Braves lost the series. The White Sox won the series. So in honor of John Lieber, let's start with the American League. Houston Astros take a series from the Baltimore Orioles in Birdland. Game 1, 7-2 Houston. Walker hits a 2-run homer. So does Yainer Diaz. Game 2, 10-7 Houston. 2 home runs, 1 from Pena and 1 from Walker. Carantini picks up 2 ribbies. Game 3, 9-8 for the Astros. Correa, Sanchez, and Carantini all leave the yard, as does Walker. Game 4, 3-2 Baltimore with Henderson a home run and Luis Vasquez hitting a home run to round out the series. Boston and New York in the Bronx. Boston takes the series. Game 1, 6-3 for Boston. Roman Anthony, a towering 2-run shot into the right field seats. Not a wall scraper there. Lowe with 2 RBIs. Nathaniel Lau, new addition to that Red Sox roster. Game 2, 1-0 Boston. Connor Wong picks up an RBI. Brian Bayo, 7 innings pitched, 3 hits, 5 Ks, blanks him. Game 3, 12-1 Boston. Story, a 3 RBI homer. Narvaez, 2-run home run. And Crochet, 7 innings, 5 hits, 11 strikeouts. That got him to his 500th strikeout of his career. Game 4, 7-2 New York Yankees. Jazz, 2 2-run home runs. And Grisham, 2 solo shots to round it out in the Bronx. Royals at Detroit, 7-5 Detroit. Game 1, McKinstry home run and Green hits 2-run homer. Game 2, 4-2 for the Tigers. Torkelson gets a home run. Ibanez gets one out of the yard as well. Royals avoid the sweep with a 10-8 win. Pasquantino 2-run homer. Michael Garcia with a homer, and Isbell picks up 2 RBIs. Down the south side, Minnesota at the Chicago White Sox. Twins pick it up 9-7. Royce Lewis with a grand slam. Pretty back and forth match there between the two AL Central sides. Game 2, 7-3 for the Cleveland White Sox. The Chicago White Sox. Colson Montgomery with a grand slam and Luis Robert with a home run. Game 3, 8-0. White Sox blank the Twins. Montgomery with a 2-run homer. Edgar Cuero, 3 RBIs, and his catching buddy Kyle Teal picks up 2 of his own. The Rangers sweep the Guardians down in Arlington. Game 1, 4-3 with a Tellez home run, a Langford home run, and Jock Peterson, an RBI walk-off double. Game 2, 10-0. Rangers blank the Guards. Cody Freeman, 2-run homer. Josh Young, 2-run homer. Garcia, 2-run homer. And then Game 3, another blank, 5-0 Texas. Tellez, a 2-run homer, and Jock Peterson picks up a homer. We'll get down to the bread games.
Red games.
Between the no-name Athletics at the Seattle Mariners. Game 2, 3-2 Seattle. Suarez a home run, Naylor a home run, as does Polanco. Game 2, 2-1 to the Athletics. Top 10, Langoliers with an RBI double. I call them Langoliers. Game 3, 11-4 Seattle. Raleigh, a 2-run homer. That's 48 and 49 on the game. J-Rod, Naylor, and Robles all pick up 2 RBIs.
A lot of directions that we can go here, but I want to start, if you don't mind, with the Cleveland and Texas series, because Texas getting the series sweep over a very good Cleveland squad. I think this has some implications for the American League wildcard races. The Rangers leapfrog the Guardians. They're now only 4.5 games out of a wildcard spot. The Guardians, meanwhile, 5 games back. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Is it time to put the Guardians to bed?
I don't want to say no. I really don't. I like this Guardians team. I want the Guardians to succeed. They're not a postseason team. They're just not. With Texas going and just mopping you up, you've got a depleted pitching staff now that 2 of them are out for gambling. And a guy that could have helped you, Shane Bieber, is in Toronto pitching well. So,
yeah, he just had his first start over the weekend. We'll get to that once we get to interview.
I'm fading the Guardians. I hate to say it. I'm fading them.
How realistic do we think the path to the playoffs for the Rangers is? Meanwhile, they're currently sitting just second place outside the wild card picture. 4.5 games back, as I mentioned, chasing the Seattle Mariners. They also have to leapfrog the Kansas City Royals to get into the playoff picture. Do we think they have a chance?
I do. I think if Kansas City has a chance, then the Rangers have a chance. And the Rangers, took this whole series. They're 66 and 66. I think it'll happen. Now the problem is Marcus Semion's gone for the rest of the regular season. Officially announced left foot fracture. He's gone. Jacob deGrom is a 2.76 ERA. Nathan Eovaldi is pitching out of his gourd right now.
Correct.
Jack Leiter had a career night. Merrill Kelly was pitching well. That's the
Kumar
important
Rocker
part.
has shown flashes as well. Like this is a rotation. I think that if it lines up, can be among the top 10 in baseball.
Right.
Perhaps higher than that. It is really yet to line up this season. Other than Eovaldi's been good all year, deGrom's been good since he's been back. Other than that, so inconsistent, and that's really kind of hamstrung the team to this point. That's the reason that, well, of course, they had other issues at the beginning. Bats to actively turn on, fired the hitting coach and replaced him with Aaron Boone's brother. And the bats have not been phenomenal throughout the year, but you still have guys, right? You still have Wyatt Langford. You still have Adolis Garcia. Like there are dudes around this lineup. I think the Rangers are yet another example of teams that just can't quite put it together. I'm maybe a little more pessimistic on them than you. I see the Royals making a push for the Wild. I think the Rangers just had a good series. I could see the floorboards falling out and fading down the stretch.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, you look at the Rangers, they start a 3-game set where they host the Angels. I think they come out on top of that one. The Angels have not necessarily been a great team for the past...
The win series, for example.
I don't know, 5 years. So, just very quickly through the AL, good job by Detroit taking a series from the Royals. You need to keep your momentum up in the AL Central because the Royals are getting that momentum, but Detroit showing that they still have the offense to kick around. Boston defeats the Evil Empire in the Bronx. The Red Sox are for real. I'm bullish on everyone right now, but the Red Sox are real.
Yeah, I mean they're currently in sole position of the first wild card spot right now. They're, still 5 games behind the Blue Jays, so I don't really see them as players for this division. But this is a team you will see in the postseason. A lot of up and down from the Red Sox this year.
Mm-hmm.
Very weird year for the Red Sox. I don't love how their roster is constructed. They're winning games anyway. Right? At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter how I personally feel about it. If they're winning games, this is something we have to pay attention to.
Plus 100 run differential for the Red Sox.
Good.
I suppose that's where we go to the NL now?
I suppose so.
All right. We'll start with a drop from Mile High out in Pittsburgh. Colorado Rockies get swept by the Buccos. Game 1, 9-0. Horwitz, Pham, Canario all get home runs. McCutchen picks up 4 ribbies. Game 2, 5-1 for Pittsburgh. McCutchen with 2-run homer, as is Triolo. Game 3, 4-0 Pitt. Triolo gets 3 of those 4 on a home run. As previously mentioned, Skeens 7 innings, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, scoreless. Philadelphia picks up a series against the Washington Nationals. Game 1 goes 5-4 for Washington, though. Riley Adams a 3-run homer. Washington gets 2 across top 9. Game 2, 6-4 for Philly. Edmundo Sosa, they love Sosa. 3-run homer, and Turner gets a home run as well. Game 3, 3-2 for Philadelphia. Rafael Marchand, 3 RBIs. And Ranger Suarez, 7 innings, 3 hits, 11 strikeouts. A very good performance for him. Mets head down south and pick up a series against the Atlanta Braves. Game 1, 12-7 for the Mets. Soto with a 2-run homer, 4 RBIs on the day. Sanger with 3 RBIs, and Mullins with 2. Game 2, 9-2 for the Mets. McNeil, 3-run homer, and a solo shot afterwards. Alonso with a homer. Vientos with 2 homers, and Marte with a homer. Bit of a drubbing there. Game 3, 4-3. Atlanta salvages the series. Murphy and Profar, 2 RBI singles each. San Francisco Giants head up to Milwaukee. Game 1, 5-4 Milwaukee. Contreras walks it off bottom 9 with a homer. Game 2, San Francisco Giants get it 7-1. Casey Schmidt, 3-run homer with 4 RBIs. Logan Webb, 6 innings, 5 hits, 5 strikeouts. Game 3, 4-3 for the Giants. Big top 9 there with Ramos a 2 RBI single, Matos a 2-run homer earlier in the game. Giants take the series. Diamondbacks host the Redlegs in the desert. Game 1, 6-5 Arizona gets it top 11. Bottom 11, Gurriel walk-off RBI single, Moreno with a 3-run homer. Game 2, 10-1 Arizona, Gurriel a 2-run homer, Perdomo a 2-run homer, and Blaze Alexander leaves the yard as well. Game 3, 6-1 for Cincinnati, Noelvi Marte an RBI triple, and Spencer Steer picks up a 3-run homer of his own. In San Diego, Padres take the series 2-1. San Diego, Machado and Bogarts both get RBIs. Game 2, 5-1 for the Padres. Bogarts and Laureano pick up RBIs there. Dodgers salvage the series 8-2 with Freeman home run, rushing a 3-run homer, Freeman another home run, and Ohtani another home run.
We will stay in California as we get into our discussion here, because this, I think, is the biggest series in the National League this week. The Padres and the Dodgers squaring off. Padres with a chance to tie to take sole possession of the NL West if they sweep the series. They don't sweep the series. They take 2 out of 3, grab a share of that NL West lead, and earn the National League West in the most compelling division race discussed earlier in the episode. Man, the Dodgers just can't play at Petco Park. They always struggle. They always struggle at Petco Park. The bat's just not coming to play for the Dodgers in the first 2 games. 2 runs combined over the first 8 play at Petco Park. That's not going to work.
Nope.
Win games like that.
Because you know that they're going to somehow end up playing each other. They always do.
For sure. And they'll probably be in the season. They'll probably be in the season.
Yep. You look at some of the rest of the stuff. Mets continue their momentum. Philly picks up a series against a kind of hot Nationals team. They've had their moments.
Definitely not.
Right. Arizona also winning against the Redlegs over there. Not really too much to say about Arizona. The fact that they picked up a series after they just sold off everything, practically, save for Ketel Marte, who's on and off with even being on the team. So
yeah, Ketel Marte, they were here with that.
Right.
With the brewery, with the fan making consistent comments, and he Ketel Marte was just having a weird year. He needs to get into the season, and he needs a nice long vacation. That's what he needs. We talked a little bit about the Philadelphia Phillies. We did have some sad news out of Phillies camp earlier this week. Zach Wheeler getting shut down for the season with a clot in his shoulder. They would be without him for not just the remainder of the regular season, but the remainder of the postseason as well. Obviously, whenever you get a blood clot or a circulation issue like that, thoughts are not on baseball. Thoughts are with Wheeler as a person. I think all of us here at the Chatting Average would like to share some thoughts with Zach Wheeler. Obviously, that's the bigger thing that you have to care about. His health and well-being as a human being. But once you move past that, I think this is very interesting for the Phillies as a squad, because right now you're starting 5, right? You still have Marcelo Sanchez, you still have Aaron Rodgers. Granted, not been great this year. Rangers Suarez still there. He's shown flashes for sure. But now you're relying on Cal and Zardo possibly making season starts for you. That's not a great place to see.
No, it's not. And sure, Christopher Sanchez has been good. Aaron Nola is not where he is. He's not where he was. The control issues have not been on his side. And part of me,
his 9th season in Major League Baseball, and I would argue
right. This is a team that's going to seriously need to reevaluate who's in their starting rotation next year, because Andrew Painter probably makes it at some point. But your next best guy was Mick Abel, who, I don't know if you remember, they just shipped him in the Yohan Duran trade over to the Minnesota Twins. So, what else can happen up there in the city of brotherly love?
Any other thoughts in the National League, or shall we move forward to interleague play?
Let's hit the interleague.
The interleague.
All right. Toronto Blue Jays take a series down in Miami. Game 2, 5-2 Toronto. Varsho 2-run homer. France with 2 RBIs. Game 2, 7-6 Toronto. Springer a homer. And top 12 Bichette picks up an RBI single. Game 3, 5-3 Miami. Wagaman a homer. And Jacob Marcy has been swinging the bat like nothing else. 3 RBI triple. Tampa Bay Rays pick up a 3-game set at home against St. Louis. Game 1, 7-4 for the Redbirds. Wilson Contreras a homer and Burleson with 2 RBIs. Game 2, 10-6 for the Rays. Lau with a homer, Tristan Gray a 2-run homer, Carson Williams, new call-up with a homer, and Caminero with another homer. Game 2, 7-2 for the Rays. Morel with a homer and Caminero. Grand slam. Cubs head down to Orange County and get a sweep against the Angels. Game 1, 3-2 Chicago. Tucker with a homer, and top 9 PCA wakes back up and gets a homer. Game 2, 12-1 Chicago. Tucker with a 2-run homer, McGuire with a grand slam, and Tucker with a 3-run homer. Kyle Tucker found his power stroke here. Game 3, 4-3 Chicago. Tucker, PCA, Kelly, and Horner all pick up RBIs. And I do think that's where we probably ought to start is this Cubs offense. I know it's against the Angels. And, old Kyle Hendricks, who they're very familiar with. But, man, they looked good.
Kyle Tucker, I think, is back to being Kyle Tucker, and that's something that the Cubs need if they are going to make a deep push in the postseason. Right? He was your big offseason acquisition, and is somebody that you're really hoping can be kind of a cornerstone for this franchise moving forward. For the first 4 months of the year, he looked exactly like that. And then his hand got a boo-boo, and after his hand got a boo-boo, he was very bad. But I think, a couple days of rest did him good. At the start of this week, we were talking about how he's borderline unplayable. They gave him some rest. Clearly, he's feeling a little bit better. 2 home runs in 2 days to start this series. You get an RBI in 3. Kyle Tucker's back. We don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much set and forget right now. You don't need to wonder if Owen Casey needs to start starting over him, who hasn't been bad, but...
Certainly not. And a top prospect like that, I think you try and consciously find playing time for him, but Kyle Tucker is not going to be the one seed.
Right. I think that's everything I really wanted to talk about in the interleague.
All right. That's about all that we've got on the series. Any other headlines we want to hit, or shall we move into the grid?
Let's hit the grid. Let's hit the grid.
Let's hit the grid. The immaculate grid. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, is a 3x3 grid. And the way that the grid works is that each row and each column has a different Major League Baseball themed thing, whether that be a franchise that this player played for, or a statistical achievement. Maybe it's an all-star appearance, things of that nature. And we have to find players that fit in the cross sections of this 3x3 grid. So there's 9 spaces in total. And the columns today, from left to right, played for the Kansas City Royals, played for the Boston Red Sox, played third base for a minimum of 1 game in Major League Baseball. And from top to bottom are rows the Athletics, the New York Yankees, and had a batting season of over 100 runs batted in. Where do we want to start today?
I suppose we should probably start with the most logical one here, which is the Athletics and playing third base. The easiest one we could have picked.
Easily.
Tyler Nevin.
Former Rockies prospect.
Was also thinking about recent DFA candidate Abraham Toro.
That's, Abraham Toro has had a very interesting career.
We could do Abraham Dora for Athletics Red Sox, but I think that might be a little on the nose.
We could do him for Athletics Red Sox, but I would also like to suggest perhaps Jonathan Lucroy for Athletics Red Sox.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Jonathan Lucroy is on the board.
Royals Athletics.
You got anyone for Yankees Red Sox?
I always go Franchi Cordero here.
Big fan of Franchi.
I don't know how rare that is, but I always go Franchi. Royals Athletics. Braves legend Robbie Grossman.
I like it.
Royals Yankees.
Yeah, you work on that. I'm going to start working on these 100 RBI seasons.
Royals Yankees. Part of me wants to say Fernando Cruz, but I don't think Fernando Cruz was a Yankee or a Royal. I think he was a Red. What about Albert Abreu?
Oh.
Yeah, because he was like a career Yankee. Then he just kept bouncing around.
That is true. I have a Kansas City Royal with over 100 RBIs on the season.
Yeah.
Former designated hitter Kendrys Morales.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you.
Red Sox 100 RBI season.
Gotta find a good one here.
I wonder if Jackie Bradley did it. No, I don't think he did. He was a defense guy.
Perhaps a Hanley Ramirez here? Question mark.
Yeah. Hanley. That's a good one.
Like Hanley. So we still need our third base column. Is that all we're missing at this point?
We have. Don't we have an athletics third base with?
I suppose we do.
Right. Hold on. Let me reset this real quick. We have all of our picks. I just want to mark them down. Because I thought you were right. I thought you were typing them in.
I have. I'm missing Kansas City A's and Kansas City Yankees and A's third base. If you have given answers for those.
Right. Okay. Kansas City A's. Do Robbie Grossman. Kansas City Yankees.
0.3%.
Kansas City Yankees is Albert Abreu.
Albert Abreu 0.2%. Do we have an A's baseman?
A's third baseman. You could do. God, who did I say? Tyler Nevin. It was Tyler Nevin.
Nevin, that's right.
Yankees third.
Very good. Looking for Yankees third baseman and a third baseman with over 100 RBIs in a season.
Yankees third baseman. What about Tyro Estrada? Noted Rocky.
Noted Rocky. 0.06%. Looking for a third baseman with over 100 RBI in one major league season.
Now, part of me wonders if we could put because Jose Abreu played third base once.
Really? I mean, you have to play third base for a minimum of one game, so then
Yeah. Jose Abreu.
Come on down. 0.02%. Our score today, rarity score of 3. The most difficult spot on the grid today was Kansas City Royal with at least 100 RBIs in a season. There were only 20 players who have ever done that. Top scores for the Bay, Johnny Damon, the highest for Kansas City and for the A's, also the highest for Boston and for the New York Yankees. Dennis Eckersley, the highest for Red Sox, A's. Eric Chavez, A's minimum third base, played 1 game. Alex Rodriguez is the Yankee who's played third base. Mike Schmidt, third baseman with the most RBI in the season. David Ortiz, the most popular Red Sox with 100 RBI. George Brett, most popular Royal with 100 RBI. Most popular Kansas City, New York Yankee, Aroldis Chapman. Any final thoughts on this fine episode of the Chatting Average?
I miss John.
I miss John as well. I will. This final thought. If you see any slime monsters that happen to look a little bit like John Lieber, please reach out to either of us. We're in search of them.
Yep. Well, for the rest of us here at the Chatting Average, for myself, for Adam, for the slime monster, and or John Lieber, you can find us. If you already found us, find us wherever you found us this time. That's YouTube, that's Twitter at The Chatting AVG, that's Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music. Anywhere else you can find it in your heart to find us, we will be there. We'll see you next week.